In this episode of the Butt Chronicles, we take a look at Beavis and Butt-Head, episode 21, Lawn and Garden.
Welcome to Industrial Industries World Radio's The Butt Chronicles.
You said welcome.
Oh God.
Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome to the Butt Chronicles. I'm your host, DJ Glowing Ice. And today we're taking a look at Beavis and Butt-Head, episode 21, Lawn and Garden. It first aired on MTV on June 9th, 1993. That's about all you need to know. So, what happens in Beavis and Butt-Head Lawn and Garden? Well, let's check it out. The episode starts in Beavis and Butt-Head's house as the boys sit on the couch watching TV. All the boys see as they skip through the channels are commercials for injury lawyers. They then come to a commercial with a man standing next to a table saw with his hand cut off as the announcer says, "Have you been injured?" A phone number then appears on the TV for the injury hotline. Butt-Head picks up a phone as he still sits on the couch and dials the number. The person on the other end of the line picks up saying, "Injury hotline, can I help you?" Butt-Head says, yes, I've been injured. Yeah, I got a big crack in my butt." The person on the other end of the line hangs up immediately. The boys laugh. Butt-Head hangs up the phone and says, "That was cool." Next, Beavis and Butt-Head are standing on the side of Mr. Anderson's house. Mr. Anderson is holding a tree pruner pole in his hand as he tells the boys, "Now I want both you boys to prune both of these trees up front here, and Mr. Anderson looks closer at the boys. He says, "Hey, you boys look familiar. Aren't you the ones that ran off with my riding mower last week?" We then see Beavis and Butt-Head from Mr. Anderson's point of view, as the boys' faces are all out of focus and blurry. No," Butt-Head says. "You the ones that painted my cat's butt?" Mr. Anderson asks. "No," replies Butt-Head. "Well, the cops will get 'em. Luckily, I got homeowner's insurance." "You got what?" asks Butt-Head. "Homeowner's insurance," replies Mr. Anderson. The boys then laugh for a few straight seconds. "Now have you boys done any pruning before?" asks Mr. Anderson. "Yeah," Butt-Head says, as the boys both laugh. "You know, back when I was your age, I worked 14 hours a day pruning trees and still have time to come home and mow the lawn." The boys look uninterested in what Mr. Anderson is saying, as Beavis then starts picking his nose. "Well, I'll be back in a while to see how you're doing," Mr. Anderson says, as he hands the boys a tree pruner and then adds, "Remember, it ain't what you cut, it's what you don't cut." Mr. Anderson then walks away. "What a dork," says Butt-Head. Cut to the refrigerator on the back deck of Anderson's house as Mr. Anderson grabs a beer. He opens his beer and says, "Boy, oh boy, what I wouldn't give for 5 minutes alone with those little bastards who took my mower." The boys are now standing next to a tree in the front yard.
"Hey, Butt-Head, do you ever think a man will land on your anus?"
Beavis asks. "Maybe your anus," answers Butt-Head. The boys both laugh as Mr. Anderson yells from beyond the fence, "What are y'all doing, choking your chicken? Come on, let's get to pruning." Beavis, with the pruner in his hand, turns to Butt-Head and asks what they're supposed to do again. Butt-Head says that he forgot, but he thinks they're supposed to cut off the branches.
"All of them?"
Beavis asks. "Yeah, I guess," says Butt-Head. Cut to Mr. Anderson standing next to his tool shed. He takes a drink from the can of beer in his one hand, and then smokes a cigarette with the other, repeating the process. Back to the boys, as Beavis is struggling trying to cut off the branches with the tree pruner. Butt-Head then gets a thought bubble with a light bulb inside and he says, "Hey, since we gotta cut off all the branches, let's just cut it right down here," as he points to the tree trunk.
"Yeah, then we get them all at once. You're pretty smart, Butt-Head,"
Beavis says. "Yeah, maybe he'll pay us extra," says Butt-Head.
"Yeah, that would be cool."
We're back to Mr. Anderson smoking and drinking beer, as Butt-Head takes a chainsaw to the tree in the background. The tree then falls towards Mr. Anderson's house. As the tree falls, it takes out power lines, which then knocks down power poles which fall onto cars nearby. The cars parked on the side of the street are completely smashed by the light poles. As the tree itself smashes into Mr. Anderson's house, Butt-Head stands with the chainsaw in his hand, looking at all the damage he caused and says, "Whoa, that was cool." Beavis says,
Yeah, this chainsaw kicks ass. Pruning is cool.
Butt-Head says, "Let's go prune some power lines," as he starts up the chainsaw and yells,
Welcome to the jungle, baby. You're gonna die.
The boys then air guitar and headbang as Butt-Head holds the chainsaw straight up into the air. As they headbang, Mr. Anderson walks up to the boys and the cut down tree. He stands there speechless, looking at all the damage. Butt-Head says to him, we're gonna have to charge you extra, sir."
Yeah, we pruned the house too,
says Beavis. Next, we cut to the boys standing in an open field, next to a line of power poles. Beavis has a chainsaw in his hand, as the boys stand next to a power pole that they just cut down. Beavis is holding a grasshopper in his hand, as Butt-Head says, "This court is now in session."
I know you've been sworn, sir, and I have read your complaint,
says Beavis. Butt-Head grabs the bug from Beavis and punches him in the face and says, "My turn to be the judge, asswipe. How do you please to the charges of,
Trespassing,
says Beavis. "Oh yeah, trespassing, and buzzing around and getting in my face and stuff. How do you please to these charges against you?" Butt-Head asks the bug.
The defense rests,
says Beavis. "I hereby sentence the defendant to death by, sawing off its tweeter," says Butt-Head. Beavis starts up the chainsaw, and in an attempt to cut the bug, he winds up cutting off the tip of one of Butt-Head's fingers. Butt-Head's finger squirts blood as both of the boys sing, "Breaking the law, breaking the law." Butt-Head then says, "That was cool." And that's the end of Beavis and Butt-Head Lawn and Garden. Now let's check out the music videos. First music video is Spirit in the Sky by Doctor and the Medics. Butt-Head says, "Whoa, this is disgusting." Beavis says that the lead singer's eyebrows suck, and then they change it. Next is Just Like Paradise by David Lee Roth. And as they see David climbing a cliff, Butt-Head says, "He's stuck in a crack." The boys discuss the tattoos Beavis' mom has, and Beavis says that his mom has a heart tattooed on her shoulder and a battleship tattooed on her butt. Beavis then says,
I'm not only the hair club president, I'm also a member.
Butt-Head says, you said member. He later says, "Sing, fat boy, sing." The video ends as Beavis says,
Paradise sucks.
Next is Warm It Up by Criss Cross, and Butt-Head asks, "How do these guys pee with their pants on backwards?" Beavis asks who would win in a fight between the two and Criss Cross, and Butt-Head says, "I don't know, but both of them could kick Axel's ass." Beavis says it would be cool if Axel got his ass kicked by a couple of 12-year-olds. And last, we've got the Humpty Dance by Digital Underground. Butt-Head says, "Humpty kicks ass." Then he says, "Hey Beavis, I heard this guy really doesn't have a nose. He got in some accident."
No way, Butt-Head. That's just a plastic nose.
"I know. That's 'cause he had plastic surgery." And that's your music videos. Now let's check out the fun facts. The ending scene where Beavis cuts off Butt-Head's finger was also in an earlier episode. It was episode 19, No Laughing Part 2. And this episode is the true episode that this scene should be put in, so it's kind of a mystery why this scene also wound up in episode 19, but we could all just think that it was put there just to fill time more than anything else. This episode is available in the Mike Judge Collection Volume 1, but it is the director's cut. So a lot of things are usually cut in these director's cuts. So when you watch this on the Mike Judge Collection, it cuts out the beginning part where Beavis and Butt-Head are watching the different commercials with injury hotlines. So it starts right at Tom Anderson's house as Tom Anderson is telling them to prune the trees and all that. Another thing that's missing in the director's cut is when Beavis and Butt-Head cut down Tom Anderson's tree and they're headbanging, and Butt-Head says, "Welcome to the jungle, baby. You're gonna die." That's completely cut out, and it just has the boys go right into headbanging instead. But if you happen to have the Time Life home video version of this episode, it's in there. So skip the Mike Judge Collection version and try to find the Time Life Collection version instead. Lawn and Garden is the 16th episode of Season 2 of Beavis and Butt-Head, and it's the 21st episode overall. And IMDb, the Internet Movie Database, gives Beavis and Butt-Head Lawn and Garden a 7.9 out of 10 rating. Now I'll give you my review. Ah yes, the classic episodes where Beavis and Butt-Head ruined Tom Anderson's life in some way, shape, or form. I remember watching this mostly from the Mike Judge Collection, so seeing all the extra bits beforehand was a nice little treat, something new for me, and I appreciated that. I like those little extra scenes that Mike Judge just decided that needed to be cut. Why, man? Why? Just keep it all in. It was good. It was good stuff. Overall, though, this episode, it was funny. It was cool. It kind of leans more to being cool more than funny. So I kind of tend to rate things higher if they're more funnier than just cool. But this one is smack dab in the middle for me. It's rewatchable a few times. That's how I would think about it. My favorite things in this episode is just all the lines that Tom Anderson tells the boys, and they just don't care. They're just like, oh my god, yeah, okay, we get it. Yeah, you did all this work because you're... Back in the day, those were the golden days, and they just don't care. Beavis is picking his nose. Beavis and Butt-Head headbanging with a chainsaw. Like, that's just cool stuff that you just don't see anywhere else. I mean, that's just my kind of show, more than watching Friends or whatever else people watch. This is the stuff I like. So this is definitely a really cool episode, and I don't want to give it so much of a bad rating because it is just so cool. But it's not really that funny, so I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10 rating. So is it rewatchable? Yeah. Just not the director's cut. Watch the full thing. Find the full episode and watch that instead. So there you go. Beavis and Butt-Head Lawn and Garden gets a 6 out of 10 rating.